wanted to continue our discussion on acupressure and talk about the other reason that we use it. So in a previous video, I talked about how acupressure is a way of stimulating blood flow, but I want to talk about another purpose that it serves for us in the work that I do, and that's that it helps to isolate specific functions that we want to test and then work on. So if you ever get a chance, or if you wonder, you should Google SPECT scan. And what you'll find if you Google that is some really cool images of brain function that are taken by a special machine. Okay? That machine is capturing activity in the brain. It's pretty neat. So when you're using a part of the brain, let's say when you're talking, like I'm talking now, the language areas of my brain would be lit up on that scan. You'd be able to see activity there. Okay? What they're picking up is blood flow activity and electromagnetic activity. All right. But different scans pick up different things, but they're picking up activity. All right. So that electromagnetic activity then gets emitted by our brain. It's not contained in our brain, and that's why they're able to read it on these machines. Okay, because it gets emitted and it goes out into the environment. So a series of very smart men and women discovered that you can use acupressure to mirror or mimic the same frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies, that the brain puts out. All right. They figured out a way to match frequencies using acupressure to mirror specific brain frequencies. Okay. So that's the other reason that we can now use acupressure to isolate and identify specific functions that need work. So you can pinpoint a specific function using a combination of acupressure points to identify a specific function, and then you use that electromagnetic frequency and test it against somebody's own brain frequency. Okay? Because what you're basically testing is, can your body produce this frequency that it's supposed to produce? So for example, if we're going back to language, if they have a speech impediment or a stutter or something, then if their body is challenged against one of those functions that has to do with producing speech, they're not gonna test well. That test is gonna show some weakness in their body. Okay. That's one example. But for those of you that understand muscle testing or do muscle testing, this should make a lot of sense. So what this acupressure does, or what it allows you to do, is not to think about what you want to test. Okay, you don't have to ask a question in your mind. You don't have to think of a statement. You don't have to do any of that. All you can do is input in an electromagnetic form a formula that represents a specific brain function. Okay, so it eliminates your consciousness out of the equation. You don't have to think about what you're testing. And then you can just test, get a really clear response, and then know either their body can produce that function or it's not. And usually the reason it's not is because they are not getting enough blood flow, which limits the amount of activity or access that they have to that area. Okay. We're getting closer. I want to start showing you guys some specifics on how to do this technique so that you guys can start helping each other, helping those in your family and people that you love with their brains. Post questions or comments below. If you've got a request for something you'd like me to talk about brain-wise, put it in the comments. See you later.